I spent years chasing success, approval, and happiness. But I realized the life I wanted wasn't out there. It started with building a relationship with me. What if I told you the dream life you're chasing doesn't start with anyone else? Not a job, not a partner, but with you. The relationship you have with yourself could be the key to unlocking the life you've always wanted. For years, I lived on autopilot. I stayed busy, chased approval, and tried to be strong. But deep down, I felt disconnected. Like I didn't even know myself anymore. So one day, I hit rock bottom and thought, how did I get here? That moment changed everything for me. It set me on a journey to rebuild the most important relationship I would ever have. The one with myself. The truth is, your relationship with yourself sets the tone for everything. Your confidence, your boundaries, your relationships, even your ability to achieve your goals. When your relationship with yourself is strong, life feels aligned. But when it's weak, everything feels harder. So in this video, I'm sharing the 5 exact steps I used to reconnect with myself and completely transform my life. These are the same steps that helped me stop people pleasing, start setting boundaries, and finally feel confident in my own skin. And here's the thing, the last 2 steps are the most powerful. They truly sealed my transformation. So stay with me, because if you miss them, you could miss out on the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Now, before we dive in, I would love to know, what does your relationship with yourself look like right now? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. When was the last time you spoke to yourself kindly? Or when was the last time you showed yourself the same love that you would show a really good friend who was struggling? For years, I pushed myself relentlessly. I ignored my feelings. I told myself to toughen up and criticized myself for every mistake. I thought that self-compassion was weak, selfish even. But here is the truth. That mindset wasn't making me stronger. It was breaking me down. So the first step to building a relationship with yourself is learning to treat yourself like someone you love. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a close friend of mine. She was going through a really hard time, and I found myself saying, telling her things like, you're doing the best you can, be gentle with yourself, just really being her cheerleader. And in that moment, it hit me. I never said those words to myself. If it was me going through the exact same situation as she was, I would never talk to myself so kindly. So I had to sit down and ask myself, why was it so easy to comfort someone else, but so hard to extend that same kindness to me? So I started small. When I felt overwhelmed, instead of berating myself, I would take a deep breath and remind myself that I'm human and it's okay. I created a habit of pausing in tough moments to ask myself, what do you need right now? And every time I would ask myself that question, I could feel my nervous system just calm down, because I feel like my body feels cared for. So slowly but surely, this practice shifted my inner dialogue. When you treat yourself with love and care, you build trust. You show yourself that you matter, that your feelings are valid, and that you are deserving of compassion. Many of us have been taught to equate self-compassion with laziness or weakness. But let me tell you, it takes strength to meet yourself with kindness. To treat yourself like someone you love, you need to listen to yourself. Take time each day to check in. How are you feeling? Honor your needs, whether it's rest, joy, or space. Give yourself what you need without guilt. Also, it's important to speak to yourself kindly. Replace harsh self-talk with words of encouragement and grace. If this helps, I highly recommend the book Self-Compassion by Dr. Kristen Neff. It's a game changer for learning how to extend kindness inward. So this week, commit to 1 act of self-love each day. It could be something as simple as saying something kind to yourself or giving yourself permission to rest. Okay, so what's one way that you're going to treat yourself like someone you love this week? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your ideas, because I might also use them, okay? Treating yourself with love is a beautiful start, but to fully step into your power, you need to take the lead role in your life. So let's talk about becoming the main character. Here's a question for you. If your life were a movie, would you be the main character or just a supporting role in someone else's story? For so long, I let other people's opinions, expectations, and validation dictate my life. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was keeping the peace, I was making other people happy, but all it did was leave me feeling invisible and unfulfilled. Step 2 is about becoming the main character in your own life. One of the biggest shifts for me was learning to prioritize my voice. I used to spend hours agonizing over what people thought about me, but when I started focusing on what I thought of myself, everything changed. I started making decisions that aligned with my values, even if they weren't popular. I remember the first time I said no to something I didn't want to go to. It was a social event that I felt pressured to attend. It was terrifying to say no, but it was also liberating. So when you become the main character in your life, you take control. You stop waiting for permission or approval and start living in alignment with your truth. Stepping into the main character role means setting boundaries, facing criticism, but also prioritizing yourself. And these things can feel scary or selfish. So to become the main character, you need to do these things. First, you have to define your values. What matters most to you, more than anything else? Let that guide your decisions. When you make your decisions from your values, you don't ever have to apologize to anyone because you're making it from a place that is intentional and important to you. It's also important to learn to set boundaries. It's so important to learn to say no to things that drain your energy. I really want to make a video all about boundaries, but I want you guys to let me know in the comments if you would like to see that. If you want to be the main character in your own life, you have to learn to take bold action. Whether it's pursuing your dream or speaking up for yourself, step into your power. I feel like a lot of us women, we're scared of our own power, right? But if you would just surrender to the power that already lies inside of you, you will realize how easy all of this is. If you're interested in this, I would recommend checking out the book, The 4 Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's an incredible guide to living authentically. So this week, take one step that aligns with your main character energy. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you or saying yes to a dream that you've been putting off. What's one way you're going to step into your main character role this week? Share your story in the comments. I would love to cheer you on. Now, becoming the main character is important, but to truly heal and grow, you need to reconnect with a part of yourself that's often forgotten, your inner child. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what would your younger self think about the way you're treating yourself now? For years, I ignored my inner child. I didn't realize that the wounds, the insecurities, and the fears that I was carrying were rooted in parts of me that just needed love and attention. Instead, I just kept running, kept distracting myself with busyness and perfectionism. Step 3 is about nurturing your inner child. It's about reconnecting with the purest, most innocent version of you, the part of you that still holds your creativity, your curiosity, and your joy. When I started this journey, one of the most impactful exercises I did was writing a letter to my younger self. I apologized to her, for all the times I ignored her, for all the times I let the world's voices drown out her own. And then I asked her what she needed from me. I remembered how much joy I used to feel riding my bike in the neighborhood or writing or reading a good book. So I started doing those things again, not to be productive, but simply to honor her. Your inner child holds the key to your authenticity and your emotional healing. When you nurture this part of yourself, you start to heal wounds you may not even realize you're carrying. And it's hard to look back, right? Especially if your childhood was filled with pain or neglect, but avoiding it only keeps those wounds open. So to nurture your inner child, engage in activities you loved as a kid. Was it painting, dancing, building things? Bring those joys back into your life now. I would also create rituals of comfort, whether it's having a self date or a solo date or journaling under a blanket. Prioritize moments that soothe you. I would also recommend to talk to your inner child. Imagine them sitting beside you. What do they need to hear? What would make them feel safe or loved? I highly recommend the book Homecoming, Reclaiming and Healing Your Inner Child by Dawn Bradshaw. It's a beautiful guide for this kind of work. So this week, I would recommend that you schedule a self-date inspired by something you loved as a child. Bonus points if it involves creativity or playfulness. Drop a comment down below. What is one thing that you loved doing as a child that you think you could bring back into your life today? Now that we've begun reconnecting with your inner child, let's talk about creating an environment where you can thrive, a self-supporting environment. How often do you feel like your environment drains you instead of energizing you? I used to think that I just needed more willpower to stick to my goals, but the truth was my environment was working against me. My spaces were cluttered, my social circle was draining, and I wasn't setting myself up for success. Step 4 is about designing a self-supporting environment. This includes both your physical surroundings and the people you allow in your life. I remember the first time I decluttered my workspace and I added small touches like candles or affirmations. Suddenly, journaling felt less like a chore and more like a sacred ritual. The same shift happened when I started setting boundaries with people who drained me. I realized that my environment wasn't just a backdrop, it was shaping my mindset and my energy. Your environment affects how you feel, how you think, and how you act. When you create a space that aligns with your goals and your values, you make it easier to show up for yourself. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable to let go of toxic relationships or to admit that your current setup is not serving you, but holding on to what's familiar is what's keeping you stuck. So to create a self-supporting environment, I recommend that you declutter and personalize your spaces. Add elements that inspire calm and focus. I would also curate your social circle. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and respect your boundaries. I believe in this so much that I created a whole YouTube channel around this. If you're looking for a social circle that support you, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. As you can see, we're all about that. I also recommend that you set up routines. Design habits and rituals that make self-care and growth feels natural. As always, I'm going to recommend the book Atomic Habits by James Clear because it has all the practical tips on creating environments that support positive habits. So this week, pick one space in your home and make it your sanctuary, a place where you can reflect, dream, and recharge. So I'm curious, what's one change that you're going to make to your environment to better support yourself? Share it in the comments because your ideas might actually help somebody else and even me. Your environment sets the stage, but true transformation happens when you trust yourself to navigate life's challenges with confidence. Have you ever second guess yourself so much that you ended up doing nothing at all? For years, I was paralyzed by overthinking. I would analyze every decision, imagine the worst case scenarios, and asking everyone for their opinion. It left me feeling more confused than ever before. Step 5 is about learning to trust your own voice. The turning point for me was when I decided to stop asking for advice about every little thing. Instead, I started journaling and asking myself, what do I really want? The first time I made a decision without seeking external validation, it was definitely scary, but it also made me feel empowered. Your voice is your compass. When you trust it, you move through life with clarity and confidence, no matter what challenges comes up. We are conditioned to seek approval, from parents, from friends, from society. But relying on other people keep you disconnected from your own wisdom. So to trust your own voice, I recommend practicing self-reflection. This is so important. Spend time journaling and meditating to tune into your own intuition. I also recommend taking small risks. Build confidence by making low-stakes decisions without having to seek approval from anyone else. Start small, and over time, you'll start to trust yourself a little bit more. And I always recommend that you celebrate your wins. Reinforce trust by acknowledging when you have made decisions without seeking approval from anyone else. If you need more on this, I recommend reading The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. It's an excellent book on trusting your instincts. So this week, I want you to commit to making one decision entirely on your own. I promise you it will feel so good. Trust your gut and see where it leads you. After you're done making that decision, go ahead and share it with us on here. Or if you need some support, go ahead and let me know down below what decision you want to make by yourself. Maybe I can provide some sort of inspiration and motivation that can help you. Now, trusting your voice is powerful. The real transformation happens when you combine it with all the steps we've already talked about today. So let's recap. You have made it to the end of this journey, and I'm so proud of you for showing up for yourself. Treat yourself like someone you love. Become the main character in your life. Nurture your inner child. Create a self-supporting environment, and trust your own voice. The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation for everything. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up even when it's messy and choosing to love and trust yourself through it all. So which step resonated with you the most? How are you going to take action? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I cannot wait to support you. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video about shadow work and how to embrace the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, the parts of yourself that society has rejected. Always, thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, you are worthy of the love, the care, and attention that you give to everyone else. So keep showing up for yourself. You've got this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.